Welcome to Bravo 22 and our YouTube channel, all made possible by the Royal British Legion and the Drive Project. I'm Matt Wightman and I've been a member of Bravo 22 now for coming up for 5 years, I think, and I've never looked back. I love every single minute of it. So I would encourage you to tell all your military friends and family to join Bravo 22, get involved, find us, we're out there, you know. And during this session, don't forget to ask questions. This is a live chat and we've got a very, very special guest. Bravo 22 patron, Mr. Ray Winstone. Hi, Ray. How you doing?
How you doing, everyone? Yeah, I'm good. Looking forward to Christmas, I think. And
yeah,
just
me too.
happy to be home, back in Blighty.
Yeah. It's cold though, isn't it?
Oh, do you know what? I've had 9 months of sun and I got off the plane and it hit me right away. And I don't usually feel the cold, but, you know, it was brass monkey weather.
Yeah. So you've been away in Sicily?
Yeah, I went out there in March to do some maintenance work, and 3 days later they locked it down. So I was there for 3 months on my own. Obviously, the family couldn't get to me, and I couldn't get to them. And then the summer came, and we had a little bit of reprieve, and they came out in, you know, one at a time, couple at a time. And because we're in a mountainous area, we was okay. We was away from people, and they kind of they went on a little bit of quarantine for a couple of weeks, and then. We spent the summer together, which was lovely, and then they all came back home for their own commitments, and I was left there to try and do the maintenance work. But I done gardening while I was there. I planted some stuff, and it kept me mind ticking over, I guess, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, you got to get home. It's getting near Christmas. You want to see your grandson. You want to see your kids, and so it's good to be back now. You know.
Yeah. So. The first time I ever saw you was actually in Sicily, and that's before I joined Bravo. So I think you were probably in Bravo before me, because you've been here since the very beginning. And I just wanted to ask you, why Bravo? Why us lot? I mean, how did that happen? What was it that attracted you to Bravo 22 company?
It's kind of strange. I'll get a little bit mixed up now because I'm getting older. But I had some friends who were rock apes, you know, part of the RAF. And I went to see them up in Lemming, where they were training in Dockster, and we all got very drunk up there. And I, you know, they said, "Why don't you come out to Afghanistan and see us?" And I said, "Yeah, of course I will." I was pissed at the time, and I kind of, the next thing I knew, I was down at the MOD, signing all these official secrets acts and all that, and I was on a plane. Now I'd already been up to Solioke and visited the Indians up there, but so this was kind of going from one extreme to another for me. And I remember getting on a plane at Bryce Norton with all these young kids, you know, men and women, who were on their way out to Afghanistan, to Camp Bastion. And just these young boys, and you're kind of sitting around looking at them and you're thinking, my God, I know I'm getting on a bit, but these are kids. And the one thing you realise, I met the Americans out there, the French, a few French out there. And it was just an experience for me that, you know, when I came back, I kind of it put into perspective what life really is all about. You know, I got quite itchy about it all, and in a way, I felt quite ashamed. You know, because I took the kind of opinion that a lot of these kids join the army. There are career soldiers, obviously, but a lot of these kids join the army because it was the lack of work. You know, and they go into the army and the forces to actually learn a trade, you know, whether it's becoming a heavy goods vehicle driver or it's in IT or whatever. By the end of the little tour, I was there about a week. I got back when I was getting back on the train, you realise that these kids are grown into men and women. You know, they were running the city there, you know, and I came back and I give it quite a bit of thought, and I was lucky enough to meet Alice. I got a feeling I met Alice probably before I went. I'm not sure now, and Alice was telling me about how she got involved in Bravo, and I went down to a rehabilitation centre, and what really being rehabilitated, which was quite an eye-opener, because we all hear this stuff about there's not a lot being done for our servicemen, and I'm sure there's still more that can be done, but something was happening there, and we kind of sat down and with a little group of people who were interested in theatre or never been involved before, and it suddenly dawned on me through Alice in a way that it's a great way, you know, if you've got an injury of some type, whether it's mental or physical, the theatre can open a lot of doors in the way you feel about yourself, creating this kind of aura around you and giving you the confidence to go on and face the rest of your life. And from there I went back to Solihull, and I'd done the kind of tour, armed and lost legs, and the humour of some of these kids was unbelievable. I remember the doctor saying to me at one time, saying, listen, one thing you don't ask them what happened. Whatever you do, don't mention it. So I thought, okay, Christ, you know, I've got to go in here. What do you talk about to a kid who's just been injured? And the first thing the kid said to me, when hello, Ray, he said, I suppose you want to know what happened to me. And so, well, you're in it right away. That kind of graveyard humour, if you like, it was still there. You know, I saw some things that I've had to think about for the rest of my life. You know, and it did change my life doing that. But I've seen Bravo. What Bravo's done is changed a lot of people's lives, a lot of service people's lives, and it's, for me, one of the greatest things I've ever seen. You know, over this time, we had a bit of a respite, and I was in Casino in Rome, and I met a lady there who was trying to do the same thing for the Italians, and she was very interested about what we was doing, and hopefully Alice and I have had a chat about it. So, yeah, that's basically how I got involved with Bravo. It was as good for me as it was for the guys and girls that I was visiting, you know.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I stumbled into it by accident. I found a link on Facebook, and I just clicked it, and it's probably one of the worst or the best mistakes I ever made, really, because I ended up going to a bit of a do up in the Theatre Royal in Newcastle, and we did war stories. And when I walked in there, I just sat there with people. There was a lot of arty theatre type people, and I felt like a real fish out of water. I didn't, you know, I just felt a bit out of place. But the writer of the play had a word with me, and you know, and I'm so glad I went back, and I just kept going back. You know, I mean. And now I've fallen in love with acting, and actually, you know, I've carried it on. I've done a few plays now, and I'm hoping to do a film role next year, but it's a minor indie film, you know. But I love it. It's just the best thing. I mean, how did you become an actor? Was it an accident? Was it your plan, or was it off the back of something else?
I'm sorry, I missed a lot of that. Can you repeat the end bit of that?
I say I went up to Newcastle, and I fell in love with acting. I really, really enjoyed it, and now I've sort of taken to it. I want to do more of it. But the main crux of the question is how did you get into acting? Was it an accident? Was it a deliberate plan?
Oh, yeah, it was. More or less the same way, in a different sort of way. It was by accident, although I did go to a drama college for a year, which I was expelled from. And the day I got expelled, I went up. There was a lot of kids in the college that were going up for a part in a film, and I said I'd go with them and have a drink with them after just to say goodbye, you know. And it was at the BBC in the White City. And I was sitting there waiting for them to come out. And the receptionist, who was quite a good-looking young lady at the time, and I was 17 and I was a bit lively. I was chatting to her and she said, why don't you go in and meet the director? And I said, no, it's not really for me, this game, you know. It's like you, I felt a little bit of like a fish out of water. You know? Everything was Alan Clark and he was the director of Scum. And the part was actually written for a Scotch boy, you know, originally. And I got the part, and we had a laugh, me and the director, and I was the last one in. So he walked out with me and saw me down the corridor, probably because he thought I was going to nick something. And I got the job on the way I walked down the corridor. I had a bit of a swagger, you know. I was a bit a boxer, and you know, I had the shoulders moved, I suppose, a little bit, and that's how I got the job. So in a way, it was, you punched the button, and I got expelled. So it was by mistake, really, you know.
Yeah. And
I wouldn't be sitting here today probably if that hadn't happened. You know, if I hadn't been expelled. I'm not saying go out and get expelled and things like that, but you know, it's just funny how one door can shut and one door can open. You know? Yeah.
Where are your favourite locations to film?
Oh, I've got to say, New Zealand, absolute stunning country. I was in the North Island, which is very rugged and the crashing waves and all that. And then you go down to the South Island of near Queenstown and around that area, where I've done the film Tracker we was talking about, Matt. And it's, I don't know, you get up there. We was filming on a glacier, surrounded by waterfalls up there, and high up in the mountains this was. And I don't know, it's something happens to your soul up there, you know. It's like God's country if you're a religious person, I guess. But it's stunning, absolute stunning. But then again, the other end of the scale in the bush of Australia, out in the bush, saw some incredible things. You know, one night I was doing a film called The Proposition, and then it rained for 5 years, and it rained one night, and you got to remember the terrain is like Mars. It's like deep red sand, you know.
Yeah.
And it rained one night, and woke up in the morning, and I kid you not, these plants had grown about 4 foot off the ground overnight, and they were mauve, and everywhere was mauve for miles, as far as you could see. Extraordinary, you know. I've been lucky enough to work in 2 fantastic places like that. Was, you know, probably would never have gone there, because, you know, you go on holiday to Australia, I guess you probably go to Sydney, or you go to up the coast, maybe up to Port Douglas and that. But spend 4 months out in the bush with the Aborigines and all that I loved it. You know, I loved every moment.
Do you get much time to yourself when you're on set in places like this? Do you get time to, you know, have a look around and explore?
Not while you're filming. Depends how big your part is, you know. But you know, not while you're filming. But you if you're lucky enough, you go a week early, a week and a half early, because you've got to adapt to the jet lag and all that. And what I try to do is stay out there. Especially if the families with me, I'll get them out there, and we'll stay on for a couple of weeks, you know, while we're there. And it's a great chance for them to see these places as well, because usually you film in, you know, especially back in the day, you filmed in places you'd never think of going on holiday to, you know? Yeah.
I mean, talking about Tracker, as we were earlier, being in New Zealand, you played a South African guy in that, didn't you? And that he was the goodie for once. I mean, you were the good guy, weren't you?
Yeah, well, yeah, but he was a Boer. He was an enemy of the British Empire, you know, and you know, and I'm very British, you know, I am. But it was a great character, actually, you know, and I was lucky enough to be working with 2 mates of mine, you know, Ian Sharp, who I'd done Robin of Sherwood with years ago, and Harvey Harrison, who's a classic old movie cameraman, you know, come lighting man, and knows the film industry backwards, and they were like my partners in crime, if you like. We spend our days talking about what we were going to do the next day, and over a glass of red, you know, and you're looking at these most amazing, you know, scenes, these vistas, you know, and it's quite an incredible country, New Zealand, you know.
Yeah, I mean, do you ever? I mean, we've got a question here from Sarah Howarth, who's just it's been up there for a little while. But do you get fed up of being cast as a baddie? I mean, you're not always a baddie, but I mean, you have a lot of them roles, don't you?
No, Sarah, I'm lucky enough to be working on. No, some of the times they're the most interesting character to play. You know, I love it. I look like a baddie, so I might as well play a baddie. But it's funny when Sexy Beast come about. I was up to play Don early on in that, which was played brilliantly by our mate, you know, played Gandhi.
Well, that's the magic of the internet, folks. I'm afraid we've lost Ray. He'll be back, though. He sends his apologies, but the internet has let him down. Wi-Fi is broken. So what we'd like to do is try and redo this another time. However, if you're looking for some Christmas cheer, we have a Christmas sing-along planned for Monday the 14th of December at 3 p.m, also on Zoom, fingers crossed. And if you'd like to join us, please email bravo22@thedriveproject.co.uk by Friday of this week. I've had a brilliant time. It's been a bit, but I hope we got something out of that. I certainly did, and I just look forward to doing it again. Thanks very much. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.